such a pleasure to talk to you, Francine. Can I call you Francine?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I'm a big fan. Look, I just had to. I get it. I got it from I got it from my library, and of course, my daughter got Redeeming Love, and I just realized she didn't return to my bookcase there. So.
Okay.
But yes, I've been a fan for many years.
Thank you.
Yes, actually, your book was I'm originally from Brazil. And I moved to the United States in 99. My husband is American. We met in Brazil, and I moved here in 99. And your Redeeming Love was the first novel I've ever read here in English.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I love it.
I know it's published in Brazil too.
It is. I know.
Difficult out down there.
30 languages, right?
Yeah, I think it's up to 32 or 33 now.
That's amazing. And it's sold 3 million copies so far from
I think that number goes back about 10 years. So I have no idea what it's sold. I mean that was like previous edition covers where they had the 3 million on there, but in my numbers don't matter to me.
Yes.
As long as the story gets out. Yeah.
It's wonderful. Well, it is a beautiful story of love and redemption, and in one of the best novels that I've read, honestly. And it's very griping. The story is beautifully written, and of course, for those who are listening that don't know, it is based on the story on the book of Hosea, and which really depicts. It's one of the depictions of Jesus Christ, of the redemption that Jesus offers, right, in the Old Testament. Is a beautiful book. So just again, very, very excited about talking to New York Times bestselling author Francine Rivers. And she had a very successful writing career in the secular market before she became a born-again Christian. And then that changed her life, like it changes all of our lives. I was also an adult. I was 25 when I became a believer. So I know that it turns your life and your priorities upside down.
Yes, it does.
And so you wrote 1991, Redeeming Love as your first novel. And I wanted to know if I have heard, Francine, that this book changed you, writing it changed you. And I actually heard that you even had to give up writing for a time after writing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Actually, I wrote in the general market for steamy historical romances before I became a Christian. I became Christian when I was in my late 30s, and it just changes everything. I couldn't write for a while, and we were doing home Bible study. Our pastor came in and he started teaching the minor prophets, and it was really Hosea that broke through to me, because I had been going to church all the time I was a child. My parents took me to church, but you can sit in the pews of a church and never really know Jesus. There's a difference between head knowledge and surrendering your heart to the Lord. And that's really where the change came in. I think that God just took away the writing for a while because I hadn't read the Bible, didn't know anything really about the Bible. And it was doing this study that really changed directions. And for me, I think Redeeming Love was kind of my statement of faith. It was in the same genre as what I'd been writing in, because God's, the Bible is a love story.
Yeah.
It's a romance from beginning to end about how much he loves his people and how he tries to reach us and woo us, and we constantly turn away. So I really identified with Gomer from Hosea. That just constantly, if there's a problem, you look to friends, you look to how-to books, but you don't look to the Lord. So I felt like I understood her. But not the trauma she went through. That was something that was very difficult to write, but I wanted to write a gritty, true kind of story that I think can reach people.
Yes, and it does. I believe that I've heard or read about a lot of women who have suffered sexual abuse or just traumas of abortion and different things that they've done, decisions even that they've made, not that others made for them necessarily, but before they become Christians, and how hard it is to overcome that pain. I actually just had a meeting with a lady just this afternoon that I work for a sex trafficking organization as well as a part-time Christian organization. And I was talking to one of our patrons this afternoon, and she shared with me that she had a situation like that, and it took her years to be able to overcome. And I think you translated that into the story so well with Angel in the story, and in the movie as well, how she goes back and forth and she doesn't accept that love and that forgiveness, right?
Well, and so much of it, I didn't realize that there was sex trafficking going on when I was writing the book. I mean, on a minor level, because I had a picture of a little girl. I'd seen it in a women's magazine, and the little girl had disappeared. So I had a picture of her as a like her school picture, and then they had a picture of her looking terrified because they had confiscated a pornographic film and found her in there. And then they found another one a couple of years later, and the look on her face was so different. Her eyes were dead, and she just looked rather seductive look in the camera. And I thought, that's the little girl I'm writing for. That's my angel. And I want her to know that God loves her, no matter what your past, what you've been through, what you've done, what's been done to you. Your past does not have to define you. That God can make you completely new and give you new purpose. And he doesn't waste anything, because in the end of the book, of course, Angel is involved in helping others.
Yes.
It was really readers that were educating me, because they were writing to me about their past and the lives that they had and how the story touched them. So it was really, that's how I became a little bit more knowledgeable about what was going on. Went to the International Conference on Prostitution and met people from all over the world who are fighting sex trafficking. And then one of the really good things that's coming out of this movie is I met Holly Caruso, DJ Caruso's wife.
Yes.
And we talked about, what Rick and I have been giving the proceeds away from the book from the beginning to God's work, minus taxes, of course. You pay to see.
Of course, yes.
And then, but we wanted to really direct it to helping survivors. And so she has founded the Redeeming Love Sanctuary Foundation. So we've already done 4 grants this year to come alongside organizations that are on the front lines that are successful in working with survivors. So that's where whatever I make from the movie, that's where it's going to go.
That's amazing, Francine. And I will send you through the PR firm that organized our meeting. I'm going to send you information about She's Safe as well. That's the organization that I work with, because they've been working for 20 years now with sex trafficking, working with not just victims, but also preventing sex trafficking. And just, it's 3-pronged. It's preventing, rescuing, and restoring the women, and it's a Christian organization too. So it's a beautiful thing that you're doing, that you're able to give back to this people. Not only because you wrote the story, you are also bringing awareness to the situation. It's something that's always existed. Like the story happens in the 1800s, right? Yeah, 1800s. Yes,
1850s.
Always existed.
It's huge now. I mean, it's even more so through COVID. But I'm on the website. They do have applications for grants, so we'll be kind of going through the applications. I think 4 times a year. Of course, it depends on how much money we have in there. The primary amount of money that's going to go in there now is whatever I'm making on the book. But we're hoping to grow it, and eventually hopefully have an endowment that'll keep it going for years to come. It's not just going to be something that happens for a year and then it disappears. That's not our vision for it.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. Yeah, and January, I was wondering when I was writing the questions for our conversation, January is human trafficking awareness.
Yes.
Well,
as God would time it, because we had no idea. I mean, the other thing that happened, we filmed in South Africa, and the entire film was finished and in the can, as they say, 24 hours ahead of the worldwide shutdown with COVID. The movie was done. And they had the next year to work on the editing and put in the music and the special effects and all that kind of stuff. They could do all that in private studios, but everything that had to be filmed was done 24 hours ahead.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. That's just God. And
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
thought that the release in January had to do with the fact that it's sex
No,
trafficking, but it's not. It was just
no,
God again.
yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, for
Yeah.
those who haven't either read the book, you must read the book. It's phenomenal. But and or watch the movie, and the movie is also a beautiful work of art. Um, the setting is the contemporary retelling of the biblical story of Hosea, set against the backdrop of the California gold rush of 1850, as you said, and it is a life story about the power of unconditional and all-consuming love. So, with so many romantic movies out there, what would you tell to the public that differentiates this from any other movie?
Well, I think it shows the unconditional love of God. It really, what Michael does for Angel is he loves her the way God loves her. He shows her in a practical setting, what God's love really looks like between a man and a woman. And the one bit of pushback I think that we'll get from primarily, I think, Christian audiences is there are two love scenes in there that are pretty steamy, but it's like the Song of Solomon. I mean, sex is a gift from God and within the bonds of marriage, because when he marries her, he waits for months and he woos her until she loves him. And then it's once she loves him and understands, that's when the marriage is consummated. So
Yes,
it's also supposed to show godly sexuality, how God intended a relationship to be and how beautiful it can be.
right.
Because our culture is, I mean, anything goes. And people, I think, are greatly wounded. We're a nation of walking wounded people, I think.
Exactly, yes. Yeah, and I have, of course, I have read some criticism from Christian, the conservatives, Christian outlets and stuff about the fact because of those two scenes that are a little steamy on the,
Yes.
but the
Came
truth
what
is,
we see on TV these days.
I know it pales in contrast. Exactly, it absolutely does. But the fact of the matter is, the theme is strong, right? I mean, you could not possibly get away from portraying the story of redeeming love. If you read the book, you
Yeah.
cannot get away from it being a strong
Yeah.
setting, and I understand that, and I think that for adults that watch it, you can handle that. I'm sure that you have
Yeah.
watched. I'm sure you've watched much worse things out there. So
Yeah. Well, I think too that, with Angel, the way she was sold into prostitution at 8 and she was abused and used, and she saw sex as being defiled and just disgusting. She hated the men that were using her. So that's where she's coming from. And it's the gentle wooing of God that heals her and restores her to the right thinking of within a marriage, what sex was intended to be.
yes. And
So,
it's a beautiful, that also shows that the healing the process that she went through. And even the scene, if people see it with those eyes, they see that there is the love in her eyes, that there's the love that wasn't there
yeah.
before for Michael.
Yeah. Well, and she has to say his name. That was
Yes,
all important. And the vulnerability that she shows in that scene, Abigail Cohen just did an amazing job because
absolutely.
she looks like, she looks like a young virgin bride in that
Yes,
scene.
it's
And that's really
beautiful.
the way God has made her to be through Michael's love, to show her she's a whole new person at that point.
That's amazing. So tell me a little bit how you got involved with this project. How did this come
Oh,
about?
there have been people wanting to make this movie for many years and have tried, and a lot of times the scripts did not match the story. They didn't understand Michael, or the scripts are way too long. And when I started working with Cindy Bond, who's Strong Christian, she was Mission Pictures who made the movie. But I thought I wanted to show them an example of what I was looking for in a script. So I got books on script writing and I loaded my computer with Final Draft and wrote a sample of what I was looking for, and they loved the script. So they ended up using that one. And then when DJ came on as director, he and I worked together. He completely restructured, and then we worked on scenes together. So it became a collaborative effort for that final production script. But I was involved from the beginning. I had the approvals on it. I was involved in the auditions of who was going to play the roles. Rick and I were actually in South Africa and saw the filming for about 2 weeks. I got to meet the cast and crew, and so I feel like we were really very much involved. But it seemed like, most of the people that were in control really had the same mindset I did, that they wanted this to be an honest representation, face story with Christ at the very center. It's to glorify God, and it's to show people that don't know anything about Jesus the kind of love he's trying to offer people.
Yes.
And they just keep turning away. They're like Angel. They keep turning their backs and running away. And
Yes.
he keeps trying to woo them back to him.
That's beautiful. And I'm sure that several of the actors are not born again believers, I assume. And I wonder how much this movie and this project has impacted them.
We can hope. We can hope.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Just keep praying. Well, the things that happened to little Sarah Angel, right, in the beginning or in the prologue were just horrific, and it's the sex trafficking issue that has happened, unfortunately, too often in real life here. And a lot of people, when they face this type of traumas in life, they wonder where God is, right? So why he doesn't protect his children? That's a question that very often you hear. Why does God allow these things to happen? How does this movie help reconcile that issue in your mind?
Well, it is a really hard question, because we don't know the reasons why. And one of the things that I loved in it, that May, the mother of Angel, has faith, but her life is a disaster, and she ends up on the docks as a prostitute and dies of consumption. And you kind of think, well, where was God? And that's Angel's question. Where was God? He was never there for her. And yet that scene, I love the scene that DJ really put this together, and it gives me goosebumps every time I see it, when Angel is going to go, just before she's going up on the stage, and she's saying, I want to believe, I want to have faith, and I need you, God, I need you, and the girls need you. And she sees her mother. And I thought that was just brilliant, because it shows that, she's in heaven with Jesus.
Yes.
She had faith, and God never let go of her. He never, ever let go of her. Yes. And so she's there dressed in white, and she's beautiful, and she's happy, and she's just telling Angel, tell the truth.
Tell the truth, yes.
Tell the truth, and that'll set you free. And I just think DJ did a brilliant job on that scene.
It was brilliant. It was really awesome. And I love it that the next thing that you see, right, is well, I'm not going to give away, because some people haven't watched yet, but the next things you just see what we just talked about it in Romans 8:28. All things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose.
And that God has done that so much in my own life, because I had an abortion in my college years, and I dealt with that for a long, long time, and then went to a pregnancy counseling center, went through the post-abortion class, and then was able to write The Atonement Child. I actually had people around me because I wanted to write about that issue. And out of that, I was able to talk about it. And I got letters from so many women who had had abortions and felt that book really brought healing. Because, I used to say, and I got corrected on this recently, and I thought, that's absolutely right, that we know God has forgiven us, but sometimes we can't forgive ourselves. It's not that we can't forgive ourselves. That doesn't make any, it's that we can't accept the forgiveness already given. It's when we surrender and accept what's been given to us for free, that's when we are restored and we're healed.
Right. Yes. It is, and it's I say that sometimes we put our judge, the robe of judge into our own lives, and we forget, and we are our own worst judges. There's a God who's so merciful and forgiving, and we have a hard time, like you said, accepting that love. I love that twist. I've always thought about we don't forgive ourselves, but it's not that. You're right. It's just how to grasp.
Yeah.
And I was raised Catholic, and so just like you said, we went to Catholic school all my life, so mass was all the time, and it heard so much about God, but I saw God like the judge, not God like the merciful Father, that He is. And once we accept that, it changes your life forever. It just nothing like it, for sure.
That's for sure. Yeah.
Well,
So
what
true.
else are we going to expect your name as executive producer of many other titles, I hope, because
I don't know. I have a book coming out in February called The Lady's Mine, which is really in the 1870s silver mining town. And it's the question that started the whole story is, can one person make a difference in a town? Can they change the course of a town? And yes, one person can make a difference.
yes,
You can inspire others, and then as a group, you can change a lot of things. Yeah,
it's amazing. I can't wait to. I think I was thinking about it as I was looking at some of the books. I couldn't locate all that I have read that you wrote. I thought, like this is one of my favorite, and the Shofar Blue.
Oh yeah.
I love this book. This could be an amazing movie as well. Producers out there, hello.
I think they used that for a while at one of the seminaries to train the pastors. And this is how easily things can get off course.
Yes.
We tend to just we end up trying to do things in our own strength rather than trusting in God and following the direction of God.
Yes. Beautiful work, but well, it's such a pleasure again to meet you.
Very nice to talk to you, Patricia.
Very, very nice to talk to you. You inspire me. I would love, I have a dream to write a fiction book. I'm a non-fiction writer, a Christian living non-fiction writer, and I would love to be able to write a fiction book, but I don't think that I have it in me. So, and I love to read novels, so it's so sad, but maybe one day.
Never know. God can lead you that way. It's like I thought, Redeeming Love was going to be my swan song. That here's my statement of faith. This is what's happened in my life. I've fallen in love with Jesus, and this is what He looks like. And then I found that it was questions, because when you come to Christ later in your life, you have lots of faith questions.
Yes.
So that's really been the beginning of like a voice in the wind was, how do I share my faith with people that don't want to hear about Jesus and they don't want to read the Bible? And it's, you live your life for Christ, and that's, people notice. I mean, they're watching you. What are you going to do with your faith? And then sooner or later they ask you, and God gives you the words at the time you need them. So it's like each book has been dealing with issues in my own life and trying to find God's perspective. It's
beautiful because you are able to turn them into a story, like outside of you. So whereas like Christian, the nonfiction writers it's usually also based on something that you are either after questioning and researching, and then oh, here's the insight that changed my life, and let me share it with you. But to have the ability to take that same approach and turn it into a story that's captivating, it's a true gift. And
thank you.
You certainly have it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I'm being a little bit of a what do you say in English? Fan or
fangirl.
Fangirl. It's a shame that you're so far away. I was going to get you to sign my books. Well, Francine, it was a pleasure talking to you, and it will be a pleasure to write this column, and I'm going to send it to Epic, to the agency, and it was such a blessing to have you in my show.
Well, thank you very much. I've enjoyed talking with you.
All right. Well, God bless you in everything you do.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.